68 Best Bets show featuring us, the three man weave. Though today we are just the two, as Matt is on the road back to Chicago from St. Louis, and he couldn't join us today. But that's okay. I missed on Wednesday. Matt's allowed to have a day off. Jim is here in his festive USA gear. Go USA. Beat England today. Kai, me, I'm still in Portland. As you can tell by my background, I am on the road right now at the PK85, boots on the ground. Jim, the tournament's awesome so far. Lots of close games, hoping for more today. What did you see yesterday as you were gobbling turkey and hanging out?
Kai, I saw 25 extra minutes of basketball yesterday. There were 5 OT games out of 22 total games. That's nearly a quarter. Going to overtime, that's a lot. If we had a 60-game slate and we had 14 overtime games, I think people would their eyes would bug out. And unfortunately, Kai, overtime was not kind to us.
No.
St. Mary's, Washington under, goodbye. Tennessee, Kansas under, goodbye. Wisconsin's Kansas under, and Tennessee, USC under. And USC almost blew plus 8.5. So let's start playing more 40-minute games. That's my humble request. I know it's free basketball, but I want 40 minutes. Let's settle it in that amount of time.
Yeah, I agree, Jim. Overtime is BS unless it helps us. And so far it has not this year.
True.
So get it together, gambling gods, basketball gods. Okay, let's get into the show. An awesome slate today. We're starting off with the Bahamas, the championship, Kansas and Tennessee. What a game this is. I was surprised, Jim. Tennessee opened up as a favorite, 2 or 3 points. I think it's down close to pick. Forgive me. I don't have my lines in front of me right now. Kansas controlled Wisconsin on Thursday. I was in the air watching the game. Total control. Wisconsin came back, of course, forced overtime. And Jim, Tennessee seemed to struggle with USC. I didn't watch the game, but the result kind of surprised me throughout.
Yeah, Tennessee just not as sharp in that one. Kansas did get up double digits twice on Wisconsin, which is impressive, but that's a bad offense to let back in twice. That was a little shaky. 43 points to Wisconsin in the second half, and they'd only scored 43 the entire game before. I don't love that. But Kai, I stubbornly think Kansas is better. I know that market's saying the opposite. And anytime I've been against some of Ken Palm's more outlandish rankings, and maybe having Tennessee above Kansas would strike people as a little surprising, I've been wrong. So perhaps I'll be wrong again today, but I think Kansas should be a slight favorite. Took them at plus 1.5. Not my best bet for the show, but I'm a Jayhawk man today.
Yeah, Kansas just had some weird scoring woes too against Wisconsin. And, no fault really. Wisconsin has a great defense, but Jalen Wilson can't bail them out all the time, Jim. Grady Dick kind of disappears. When I've watched him play, he's great. He hits shots. He's got a ton of range, but then he'll go quiet for like 15 minutes. And whether that's his fault or Kansas's fault not getting him involved for those minutes, it's puzzling. And that really hurt them against Wisconsin when he kind of disappeared. Their guard play was also pretty shaky when DeJuan Harris went out of the game. Pettiford and Yesufu just could not handle the ball. That's bad news against Tennessee. So if there's any weakness here, that might be it. However, on the whole, their defense was pretty good. Perhaps they can stop Tennessee today. I do lean towards Kansas as well.
Worth noting, Josiah Jordan-James still day-to-day, hasn't played yet down in the Bahamas. I think he matters a lot. Although, man, Julian Phillips has been awesome. Like really opened my eyes. I was like, Rick Barnes, freshman, I'm a little skeptical. He's been fantastic. Like it completely shut me up. So I don't know. Maybe JJJ doesn't matter that much. I still think he does, which helps give the nod to Kansas to me.
Well, the other game, Jim, in the Bahamas is USC and Wisconsin. And man, I've been impressed with Wisconsin a lot. Saw them in person, watched them against KU come back. And USC can't really shoot. And if you can't shoot, it's going to be a chore scoring against this Wisconsin defense. On the flip side, I think Wisconsin's system, their offense, can slice and dice USC. That's just my opinion, Jim. I do like Wisconsin quite a bit in this matchup, but what do you think?
I'm right with you, man. I was on the right side with USC yesterday, fading Tennessee. So that gives me a little bit of comfort in my ratings on both Tennessee and USC. And I have Wisconsin a slight favorite here. I just think the way you look at some of the Big Ten teams, when healthy, have been so good in the non-con. Both these teams went to overtime yesterday, so there's no real edge on that. Wisconsin, I trust them a little more to execute late, despite a sad missed block out on that incredible Pettiford putback to win.
Yeah, wow.
I just trust him a little more. Tyler Wall's a killer down the stretch. Isigian, the freshman, is fantastic. He's really opened some eyes
swagger
during this tournament as well. And USC, while solid, I'm going with guard over infield, especially given my number leans that way, and I feel good about my number on both teams.
Yeah, agreed. Go Badgers, go Jim's Badgers. He's a Wisconsin native, of course, to remind you folks out there. It'll be a good game. But I'm focused on Portland, of course. I'm here. I'm going to see a lot of these games today. The BK85 has some awesome matchups. We're going to start with North Carolina and Iowa State. And man, North Carolina survived against Portland, nearly got upset by the quote unquote home team or one of the home teams here hosting the event. And Iowa State's defense, man, was suffocating against Villanova. The score was tied at half. It did not play that way. Iowa State really, really dominated that game. And then Villanova, of course, forced overtime, kind of pulled a Wisconsin almost. Jim, who do you like in this game?
I kind of like Iowa State from how they've been playing since. Like, North Carolina's defense was terrible yesterday. I specifically called out Caleb Love on Twitter. When he's off the ball, he is just like watching butterflies. Like, his guy can cut to the basket whenever he wants. His guy can get an offensive rebound whenever he wants. When he has the ball, Caleb Love is awesome. He is a great creator. He's a terrific pull-up shooter. He hit some tough shots yesterday that kind of kept their offense afloat as they were dealing with the run that Portland was putting on them. But their defense is bad, and they're not going to be able to score as easily against Iowa State. Like, that is a really good defensive team. They're much longer, more physical, more aggressive than Portland is. If their defense doesn't wake up some, they could struggle to score enough that they end up losing. Unfortunately, I don't love that Iowa State went to OT and UNC didn't. So I am staying away. But current form of these two, I lean towards Iowa State.
Yeah, we've kind of talked about how UNC seems bored by certain opponents. You know, they're kind of just, whatever for Portland. Same thing with Charleston. They did take James Madison to the woodshed, so that was a little bit of a change of pace. They allowed 1.12 points per possession to Portland. And you just can't really do that. Portland shot well, but UNC's defense, like you said, it was lackadaisical. Against Iowa State, I have a feeling UNC kind of shows up. And if this team shows up and actually plays to their potential, they are the best team in the country, or at least they're a top 3 team. So I do think they can do that. Their offense versus Iowa State's defense is going to be a tightened matchup here. It just remains to be seen if this UNC team has the motivation to show up. 6 points is quite a bit. I probably do lean towards the Clones. I think they can hang around. We'll see. It'll be a good game. I will be there. Duke Xavier, talk about another good game here. And Jim, talk about another dominant ACC team that almost got dominated. Oregon State almost beat Duke. Kyle Filipowski, about the only player that looked good yesterday. Yeah. Duke could not figure out a zone. Hopefully Sean Miller took notes there, and he just zones the Devils today. What do you think? This spread actually took a little bit of money for Duke. I think it's closer to 4 right now.
Yeah, Duke's not as bad a shooting team as they showed yesterday, but they're not a good shooting team. They're not like, I'm not scared of them reining in like 7 threes in a 8-minute span. That's just not something I really think they're capable of. But they are dominant on the offensive glass. Ryan Young and Filipowski lived there yesterday. But Xavier's a lot bigger than Oregon State. And I think they actually have the bigs with Fremantle and Nunji to compete inside. They're mobile enough to kind of stick with Filipowski, as good as he is. I just am not very impressed by Duke. I don't know if it was a little bit of a looking past Oregon State thing too, like kind of the same we said about UNC, where certain opponents get their juices flowing a little more. But that was bad yesterday. Never looked comfortable at all, straight down to the wire against a team that has not looked awesome to start the year. Like, should have lost at home to Tulsa. It felt shaky out of Duke. And like you said, if it wasn't for Flip, that team loses. Like, the rest of their freshman class was non-existent yesterday.
Yeah, Duke's more talented, right? Raw talent. They have the edge here, but Xavier's more experienced. They're more impressive. Colby Jones is a star. Sean Miller said after the game, he's not even healthy yet, 100% with that ankle. But, man, he played well against Florida yesterday. Going to be so good. Fremantle and Nunji, they can go toe-to-toe with Duke's front court. I'm not really worried about them. And Sully Boom's probably the best guard on the floor. And no real offense to Duke guards either. Sully Boom is really, really good. He had a great game also against Florida. I think Xavier can hang around as well in this game. The line did feel short on the opener. But, man, if you just go by yesterday, these performances and what we've seen so far, Xavier can probably win this game outright. So I lean towards the Muskies as well, Jim, in this game.
Yep.
Chat mob break round 1. What we got?
It's been tougher to rally or and track all these. I apologize, people in advance, with only 2. Usually there's more talking when you're not talking that you can figure them out. So I'm doing my best. But Kai, start with San Francisco at Davidson. A rematch from last year. Both teams have new coaches, but some familiar pieces back for both. What do you think of this one?
I liked Davidson when it opened, bet one. I think they got bet up a little bit. I don't really know what to think of either team right now, actually. They haven't showed us a lot of confidence one way or the other. San Francisco got down by a lot to a shorthanded UNI team. They came back and almost covered. They've covered in most of our other games, and they do have some solid pieces. But Davidson is a team that I don't love fading, and I think they can win this game. It's at home. It's a neutral.
It's at Davidson, I believe.
At Davidson. Yeah, I lean towards Davidson here.
All right, next, Texas A&M at DePaul. Kyle, take this one. I liked Texas A&M at the opener. Thought it was a little too low, minus 2.5. It's up to 3.5, I think now. Maybe okay there. I wouldn't bet it big, but I think Texas A&M can drive on DePaul. They can run in transition a little bit. They can turn over DePaul, which is huge for the Aggies. And we still don't know about Angenda and Ane for DePaul. They're big paint enforcers. If those guys aren't in there to take away the rim, then it opens up even more for the Aggies. So I lean towards the road squad there. How about from Ryan Abramowitz, Kai, St. Francis, New York, not San Francisco, at South Florida. Too many SFs playing today. Both teams maybe a little shorthanded. Rob Higgins was out for St. Francis, Brooklyn, and South Florida's been missing Keyshawn Bryant and Jameer Chaplin.
Yeah.
I don't want to back South Florida as a big favorite, though. What do you think?
No, I don't either. I stayed away. I'm not really keen on betting either team this year. Would prefer to fade both of them. I can't in this game, so I'm staying far away. Really gross matchup. Yuck.
Yep. Yeah, slog. Maybe the under, but who knows what tempo will be like. I don't think St. Francis really knows what they are yet. Kai, another one from Ethan Wright here. Bellarmine headed west to Loyola Marymount. Bellarmine slowed the game down big time at Duke, turned it into kind of a brawl, but Duke can't shoot, and LMU kind of can. Does that packed-in defense and shorten the game not work as well here? What do you think?
Yeah, I'm usually a big fan of Bellarmine and love taking them as a dog. This one did scare me for some reason. It felt just a little bit short. LMU seems like a team that can at least take care of business against Bellarmine. I keep going back to that Moorhead game when Moorhead took care of business against Bellarmine. I don't know. Maybe it's a thing where Bellarmine shocks super talented teams that just take them for granted and they end up getting punked. I think LMU will be ready for the challenge, so I'm staying clear away.
We'll go two more here, Kai. I'll send one to you and I'll take the second one. You will get another one from PK85 out there. Oregon State and Florida.
Oh, yeah.
Florida coming off a tough loss yesterday. When you mentioned on Twitter the missed layups for Florida that turned into threes for Xavier that just totally swung that game. Oregon State is obviously awesome against Duke. How do you see this one shaping up with these two in the consolation side?
I lean Oregon State. I think the Beavers are better than people think. They're not an awesome team, but I think they're better than people think. They have that sort of like tough, gritty determination thing we saw when they made the Elite Eight run. Not anywhere close to that team, but the chemistry feels real. Tinkle loves this team. And their freshman Poke, he's a stud. He's going to be really good in Pac-12 play. 14 points is a lot. I'm not sure if Florida can cover that. I know Oregon State's going to try to slow the game down. Zoning Florida might work as well. I know Florida's got a couple shooters, but it might throw them off their game just a bit.
Yeah, and who knows what's going on with Kwasi Reeves? Like played yet or did not play yesterday per coach's decision. Seems like doghouse, but they might be a little better when Bonham gets big minutes like he did. He gives more shooting. He gets into the lane at will. Like big fan of his. The concern there for if you're betting the favorite is the tempo, like you said. Oregon State really slows it down. Jay Letterman asked about San Jose State at North Texas. I kind of like the mean green here. I know it's going to be slow and ugly, but I think North Texas kind of lives in that realm, and they're a much better team now that Tyler Perry is healthy and playing, or at least close to full health. He's out there and he's making plays. I generally kind of like San Jose State as a Tim Miles squad, but I lean towards North Texas here, even though 9 feels like a big mountain to climb in a really slow game.
Yep.
All right, let's go back to the outline, Kai. A lot of people asked about Valpo, South Dakota State. That will be saved for best bets. So we'll get to that one. Yep. Back to you.
Let's talk UConn, Alabama. 2 incredibly impressive performances yesterday. Probably looked the best out of any teams here. Those two. UConn set a program record for 3-pointers made. They won't shoot like that, obviously, all the time, but this team does have shooting. They will be a good 3-point shooting team night in, night out. And also so much size, like holy crap. Oregon, UConn, the biggest teams I've seen in person, Klingon with Sonogo, it's just enormous. But Jim, Bama's talented, man. I've come on board. Brandon Miller, absolute stud. He's going to be a top 10 pick in the NBA draft. Who do you like in this game? It's about a pick. So just pick your winner, basically.
I kind of like Bama more just as a team, but I fear UConn. I think that roster is loaded. Like there is size, shooting, ball handling.
Mm-hmm.
There's so much depth. I think Hurley has so many different lineup options he can throw out there. I mean, they're going to be invincible if they shoot like they did yesterday. That was ridiculous. Newton, I think, hit 5 threes in the first half. Calcaterra hit a few. It was, that's unstoppable if UConn with that size. Sonogo was hitting in the second half. He tweeted about it. That was absurd. That said, they're not shooting that well again today. There's just no way. I trust Bama a little more, but I'm not betting it because I actually do respect this UConn roster a lot and the ceiling. Yeah. I think they have ceiling of top 10 team this year. So I'm staying away on that one.
Tristan Newton has played really well. He's answered my questions about him coming from East Carolina. He looks like a legit Big East guard. Great attitude too. I'm a big fan of Newton. And I do think UConn has the athleticism, the bodies to match up with Alabama, who usually will be way more athletic than their opponent. It won't be the case tonight. I lean towards the Huskies actually in this one, but I'm just excited for a good game, not putting real money on it. Next one, I am putting money on this game. Oregon versus Michigan State, or the walking wounded battle. Both teams are banged up. Oregon has a severe lack of guards, basically just one guard right now with Will Richardson. Sparty Jim is without Hall, Akins, and Joey Hauser is playing on a bum ankle. The guy must have twisted it 3 or 4 times yesterday against Alabama. Who do you like in this game?
The Joey Hauser thing felt like there's that video of it's like a penalty shootout in soccer, and they keep bringing the goalie out after he keeps getting hurt, like keeps getting hit in the head and getting knocked out more. They just kept wheeling Joey Hauser out there and like, you're all we got, bud. You got to play. Yeah. You got to give us 30 minutes, 2 more days in a row here. I wanted to fade Oregon, Kai, because I think, like you said, they have major guard issues, but they're facing such a shorthanded team here too with Michigan State. Like, I don't know if they can really wear them down. Like Alabama wore down Michigan State yesterday. Like, for the first 20 minutes, Michigan State was game. They were even, but it just, they didn't have the depth to continue going with them for 40 minutes. Oregon doesn't either. I do like that Altman rested Richardson for a long time in the second half yesterday. Yep. Basically like, we're losing this game. Gabe Reichel, good luck out there. Have fun against UConn. And so now you get a little bit more rested Will Richardson here, but I don't know. I would lean Michigan State. I'm not taking it though, just because they're shorthanded as well.
Well, I am taking Michigan State. In fact, it's my best bet at -2 for BetRivers. Yeah, I'll take that. The Ducks, or excuse me, the Spartans are the way better team at this point. Oregon, the no guard thing is real. Look at Louisville. It really affected them. It will affect them against Michigan State, even though Michigan State's shorthanded. This team is just not complete. And Altman in the presser, he just kind of hinted at it. He's like, we're just not there. We need our guys back in the lineup. The confidence is low for this team. And we saw Michigan State compete for, like you said, a half with Alabama. And we've seen them beat really good teams already this year and compete with good teams, injuries aside. And they do have a lot of size up front. You can argue it's not great size, some of the guys that come in for Sissoko, but it's enough to kind of keep Oregon at bay. The Ducks can't really shoot outside of Richardson. That's huge. And Quincy Guerrier has looked terrible. Altman himself said he's been bad at the 3, and he has to play there. They have no choice. He has to play there with the injuries right now. So it's kind of a muddled team. I like Michigan State -2. It is my best bet.
There it is. Love it, Kai.
Boom, hammer. Gonzaga, Purdue, next game. This one's going to be awesome. My question is, what does Gonzaga do, Jim, about Zach Edey? Timmy, Watson, someone else? Can they pull Edey away from the hoop? Is Timmy going to start shooting threes this game again? How do you see this game unfolding?
Yeah, I don't know that Gonzaga has like the perfect recipe for it. I compare it a little bit to Arizona Creighton, where Arizona's guards are really good pull-up shooters. And so they would put Kalkbrenner in ball screens, and if he didn't come out, they would just get pull-up threes or mid-range shots. And then he starts to come out, you open up the rim. I don't know if I love like Nolan Hickman and Malachi Smith coming off ball screens and shooting a ton of pull-up jumpers. Maybe it works, but I just don't feel as strongly about that. So maybe they can't punish Edey inside as much as they probably should. And on the other end, I think to combat Edey, no one really has the size. I mean, Jimmy Bell did a pretty good job fighting him yesterday with his strength and size, and Edey still had a big game. Gonzaga doesn't have that strength and size, so you've got to pressure the ball and not allow any good entry passes. You've got to try to get him off the block before his catches. Just don't know that I have a ton of faith in Gonzaga to do that. But I also think Gonzaga's biggest weakness defensively is stopping penetration, and Purdue doesn't do that at all. Their motion, try to get things via the pass and cutting, so that sort of negates Gonzaga's biggest weakness. I didn't bet this one, made the number about what it is. This is a put my feet up and watch this one.
Yep, I wrote down line seems about right. I've been impressed with the Boilers, especially their young guards, right? Lawyer and Smith have been awesome. Gonzaga, it has more athleticism back there. They have better wings and guards in theory, but man, Purdue's been poised. 5 points might be a lot to overcome for Gonzaga. I do lean towards their way. They did smoke Portland State. They looked better in the game before that against Kentucky. This team just could be back and as good as we thought they would be preseason, or at least kind of close to it. So yeah, no play for me either way. Lean Gonzaga. I'm excited to watch today. Finally, a game that's not in one of these Bahamas PK85 tournaments that snuck into the outline is Iowa and Clemson. Jim, one of these teams looked way better than the other. That's Iowa. They have a signature win at Seton Hall already. Clemson has not faced any team in the top 140 of KenPom. The team they did face that was number 140 was South Carolina, and they lost to South Carolina, their rival. That doesn't bode well against Iowa here, Jim. It doesn't bode well at all.
No, it doesn't. Iowa -7.5, one of my best bets. This is just I am riding the current form. One team is way better than the other. Clemson doesn't have its point guard situation figured out. PJ Hall might not be fully 100% yet.
No,
they're in a little bit of shambles right now. They're not the same defensive squad that they usually are under Brad Brownell either. And if you're not stout defensively, good luck against this Iowa offense that's already humming like a fine-tuned machine. Mm-hmm. Chris Murray looks like a real star. Patrick McCaffrey's been great. Perkins has been awesome. I love the stroke of genius to put him at point guard and not try to like force DeSante Bowen as a freshman to play too big of a role. Perkins has been great in that spot. And their role players they all know their roles. They make the extra pass as Iowa offenses always do. So I feel good about Iowa laying the points here -7.5. Best bet for me, Mr. McEwen.
Yeah, I don't think Clemson can stop them. This feels like a double-digit win. I know Brownell's good as a dog, and I do give him some credit, and they can maybe try to grind this out, but Iowa's just too good on offense. So I lean your way, Jim. Support your best bet.
Right.
Chat on round two. Let's do it.
Yep, got a few here, quite a few actually. Kai from Tim K for Middle Tennessee and Hofstra. I believe that one is in Quebec, so north of the border there.
I'm looking at the line, Jim. I think it was round pick, right? Yeah, round pick. Gosh, I lean towards Hofstra. I don't really have good reasons why. It's more of a gut feel. Middle Tennessee just hasn't looked like the Middle Tennessee team we saw last year that dominated ATS-wise. So lean Hofstra, not playing it.
Yeah, Middle Tennessee kind of dominates people with athleticism, guard play, and effort. And Hofstra's guard play is unbelievable.
Terrific.
I think they're going to be able to take advantage of the over-aggression that Middle Tennessee's defense has. All right. Harry R. asked about Southern Utah. We're going to table that for best bets as well. How about Missouri State, Kai? They are hosting UNC Wilmington. Actually, it's neutral. It's in the Bahamas. So Missouri State and Wilmington, about 6-point favorite. Missouri State, what do you think?
Felt a little high. I think Missouri State's really talented, but I think I've said before, I'm not sure what we have quite yet under Dana Ford. He's integrating literally a brand new team. Only one guy came back from last year, and they did play BYU close, but I'm not sure I'm ready to trust them as a favorite or middling favorite against a scrappy Wilmington team that we saw make a crazy run last season. So I'm staying away. I think Wilmington could be competitive.
Yeah, speaking of Middle Tennessee, Missouri State just dominated them. Our guy Jordan Majeski pointed out, like, they handled pressure really well there. Wilmington sometimes likes to pressure. So, yeah, I thought it was a little high in the open, but it's come down a point. So I'm not going to recommend it. 5 at BetRivers right now. Let's see. What's next? From the chat mob, Kai, also from Harry, Louisiana Tech. Again, I don't know who they're playing off the top of my head. There's too many games
Sanford
today. Oh, there you go.
Sanford's
been, they just rolled Valpo. Absolutely obliterated them. Not a team I want to bet against right now, even though I kind of respect Louisiana Tech.
Not a team I want to bet against, but I still like La Tech at +6. I think Valpo is terrible, so I'm asterisking Sanford's win a little bit there. Still impressive, and Bucky McMillan can run it up, but La Tech is good. I think they're solid. I lean towards their way.
Yeah, I lean towards getting the points there as well. I'm going to take this one because it just makes me angry. Nicholas Sheeran, Texas A&M Corpus Christi at UTEP. I'm furious with the Miners and their propensity to go to OT via ridiculous, like a technical in the final 5 seconds. And then last night they fouled 2 nights ago, fouled a 3-point shooter with 2 seconds left. 3 made free throws, overtime. Dead goes the under. So I lean towards the Miners. I don't have the bravery to bet the under again here. Corpus plays a little faster, and they had a day off. So staying away from total, lean towards Maddie's Miners on the side. Kai, how bad is Hartford? They are at Penn today. Are they going to get smashed?
Yeah, they should. I didn't lay it, but they should get smashed. There's no reason they won't. The only thing is Penn just tends to rest guys on random days, Jim. I've noticed, and this has been going on for years. A random guy would be out of lineup. Lorca Lloyd missed last game. Dingle missed a game a couple games ago. It's just annoying backing a team like that. And I'm not ready to lay 20 points, whatever it is, with a team that could just be sitting guys. So no thanks.
Yeah, that's scary. Another Ivy team here, Cornell. They're at Monmouth. Matt Akers asked me about this one. I wouldn't bet Monmouth yet. I don't think we've seen the bottom for them. They're really, really terrible. And Cornell is super well coached. They play fast. They hit a lot of threes. That's a team that could run away from Monmouth. I'd be Cornell or nothing for me there.
Yeah, agreed.
Kai, we're going to stick to giving you the PK 85 questions. West Virginia and Portland State. 2 losers last night. 2 pressure teams. Do we see a track meet here? A lot of turnovers. What do you expect?
Yeah, I didn't get eyes on West Virginia yesterday. I know they made a comeback against Purdue, but Purdue controlled the whole way. I saw Portland State. I love Jace Coburn. He's an electric on the bench, the coach of Portland State. They're feisty, man. They get after you. I'm just not sure it's going to work against West Virginia, and I think they'll be fine playing up and down. 15 points is a lot. I kind of lean towards West Virginia, though.
All right, Kai, you're getting the ultimate I have no opinion game. So hopefully you have an opinion. That would be Dartmouth and Incarnate Word. I don't have any sense for this one. That didn't jump out to me as I went through the numbers. Anything for you on that?
No.
Okay.
I think I took the under. I can't remember though.
You'll have to verify.
Yeah.
I watched all of Seton Hall Memphis last night. Daniel Harold's asking about Seton Hall in Oklahoma. That was a just dead obvious under yesterday for Memphis and Seton Hall, but a billion fouls barely got it over. So apologies to underbackers. I think this kind of shapes the same way. 2 slower teams that are better defensively than they are offensively. I would lean towards the under there. I think Oklahoma can control the pace. Sidewise, I don't have a lot. I wasn't really impressed with Seton Hall yesterday. They were sloppy, a lot of turnovers, and they just don't have a total plan in the half court. They're kind of eventually leads to an isolation for somebody, and it doesn't always work. So their defense is great, offense not so much. Kai Nicholas asking about Towson and Fairfield. Does Towson dominate Fairfield? That is the question. Jason Gibson has missed the last 2 with his back injury.
Preseason, I would say this spread is crazy high, but Fairfield has looked awful. Something's going on with that team. They should be better than they are. And why step in front of Towson right now? I'm not fading Towson. They're good. They were good last year. They're supposed to be good this year, and they are. So even without Jason Gibson, I'm not fading him.
All right, on the battle for Atlantis, Butler and NC State. I like Butler. I've been stubbornly against NC State. Both games in this tournament, they had the backdoor 3 against Kansas, although they covered for most of that game. So NC State was the right side there. They took care of business against Dayton yesterday. Dayton fully melted down. That was bad.
Yeah.
But I'm impressed with Butler. I think they can take care of business, even without Ali still. I think they're better keeping guards in front. They won't get dominated by Joyner and Terquavian Smith the way that Dayton just couldn't guard those guys at all yesterday. It was embarrassing for him. So I like Butler. Kai, Harvard and Loyola Chicago. I don't know what to do with Loyola Chicago. Braden Norris looks broken. They are one of the most turnover-prone teams in the entire country. Their offense was terrible in the Myrtle Beach Invitational. What do you make of this?
I don't trust Harvard either. Harvard hasn't looked great this season, and I'm not backing Loyola right now. I think Loyola is like a 3-point favorite, something like that. I'd probably lean towards the dog right now. Loyola just really feels like they haven't figured anything out, Jim. It's like everyone declined from last year, and it's strange. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, it's a it's a scene. It's like, I don't want to try to figure out when they're suddenly going to figure it out, because
right.
they're not good. All right, last one on the outline. I think you now probably agree with the directional here. Notre Dame and St. Bonaventure. I think St. Bonaventure's been really good this year. Like really, really impressive. Mark Schmidt is a genius. Now they're catching points against a team that has struggled mightily to cover despite the late fork against Bowling Green. Sorry. But I would lean towards the Bonnies. Kai, what about you?
I was on Bowling Green. The game ended on a 17-2 run in the last 7 minutes, and Bowling Green did not cover. I lean towards St. Bonaventure, Jim. Notre Dame's not been very good this year. They're not deep at all. They play 6 guys. I think Bonnies can hang tough, cover the spread.
Yeah, that's where I'd go. Irvine and Nichols just came through in the chat. That's neutral in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
I would lean towards Irvine, but I don't have a super strong bet there. I didn't wager on
Nothing strong for me either, Jim.
Nichols getting a touchdown. Maybe the value numerically is on their side. Okay, that's it. Kai, best bets. I'll lead it off. First, I've got Iowa -7.5. Mentioned that one already, and then kind of gave away our position on Valpo, South Dakota State. But I'm laying the 9 with South Dakota State. I think Valpo is truly horrendous right now. The Chicago State effort was bad. The Kent State effort was bad. Like, this team they're lost, and I don't know when they're going to find it. And I kind of trust South Dakota State to be able to take advantage of it. That's a neutral site game, Savannah, Georgia. I'm fine with laying the points there with the Jack Bunnies against their reeling Beacon squad.
Love it, Jim. Love it. Reminder out there, I'm a Michigan State -2. I'll be in the building. I'll try to bring us home a bit of a cover. Actually, I'm not sure if I'm going to this game. It's a late game. We'll see. TBD. Either way, Michigan State -2 is my best bet. And then from the road, Jim, Matthew Cox sends his wishes, and he gives us a blessing, his best bet. Southern Utah, -2.5 against Texas State on a neutral. Texas State has been hurt a lot. That's probably part of Matt's angle here. And Southern Utah has looked very, very good. They've done nothing wrong. They competed with Kansas at Kansas, Jim. So I support our buddies Thunderbirds pick as well.
Yeah, a whole lot more offensive pop for Southern Utah compared to Texas State. This is weirdly like the first even strength game Southern Utah's played, like at New Mexico. That's tough, kind of a bye game, at Kansas, and then 3 non-D1s. So this is the first evenly matched competition. I kind of agree with Matthew here. I think he's got the right side. So go T-Birds.
Go T-Birds, go us, go Weave, go you guys. Thank you for joining us. Go USA. Thank you for joining us for another episode. Hey, we're off tomorrow. We're not doing a Saturday show. Not many games tomorrow, so it's all good, guys.
There's a lot, but they're not any big ones.
They're not any big games. We're back on Sunday, Jim. Is that right?
Yep. Sunday, all 3 of us. The trio is back on Sunday.
Trio is back at 10:15 Central Time on Sunday. We will see you then. Go USA, go basketball.